I want to just have everybody go around and maybe introduce themselves for a minute so we can kind of be a little bit more familiar, and then we can start talking here. My favorite subject. Sounds good? Want to take the lead there, friends?
Yes. Hello, my name is Mo. I'm the head brewer at the Tank Brewing Company, and I like long walks on the beach. Pretty much it.
Puppies? Do you like puppies?
Love puppies.
Not really being
We were still there.
Pina coladas, that's the same right there. Go ahead.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen. PVC, not really into the culinary business or anything, but came to get some information and support my friends. Yay!
And I'm here with her. My name is Shane, also from DC, and been down here for about 2.5 years. So here I am.
I'm Haidar, Thirsty Samurai Piggy. I certified Cicero and beer blogger, right for the New Times. Love beer. Has started brewing recently, so I mean we'll see what happens with that.
You'll hate beer soup.
Huh?
You'll hate beer soup.
That's what it seems like. That's what everybody gears me towards when I talk to everybody. But yeah, stoked to be here and stoked to talk about beer.
My name is Mari. I'm a local blogger. I also run marketing and social media for a lot of craft beer industries in the local neighborhood.
Yeah. I'm Dave Hildenbrand, big librarian from Miami. I run the Beer Bros BS podcast down here. We all reported all the breweries. Thank you, love you guys.
Thank you.
He's also the PB&J 2018 winner.
Champion winner.
Defending his title in a month. 16, 17,
Oh, you guys should come to that next month.
Scott almost had
in
you.
March.
I slowed down at the end. I waited for him.
Scott almost had you.
Because why should I use 20 if I don't have to?
Well, we're
No, Scott was like, they were like,
Amanda, you wanna? What's up, guys? I'm Amanda. I'm the beverage director over at Locale, which is our sister restaurant. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Andy. I work for Mondo. I'm from England.
We couldn't tell.
I got football, bad weather, and Sunday roasts.
You
got a boss.
My name's Tom. I'm the brewmaster and co-founder of Mondo Brewing Company. It's a pleasure to be here. George, brewing out of Green Life right now.
My name's Chris. I work for Kush Hospitality as well. I was at Locale for about 3 years. I'm going to be moving over here starting tomorrow. Be working a lot with Cam, learning beer. So
nice. Congrats.
My name's Lou. I own a small independent distribution company.
Yeah.
We distribute a couple cool brands, a couple local brands, and a couple brands from out of state too.
Best distributor in South Florida.
Nomad represent.
What's up, guys? Andrew from Monkey Business Brewing. I'm a home brewer. Hopefully one day I'll open up my own brewery here. So just learn what's on the ways.
And a recent papa. Congrats, man.
I'm Bobby. I used to brew beer up in Brooklyn, opening a brewery in New Orleans in April. And I've been drunk 4 separate times.
Welcome to the beer world.
I'm Ben. Small brewery in Mississippi called Prohibition Brewing.
Nice. How you doing? My name's Will. I'm a small brewery called Equilibrium. I've been out of New York.
Really New Jersey.
Yeah, almost not. New York, upstate. Almost close. But we're in the Hudson Valley. We're next to the Hudson Valley Brewing.
Hudson Valley?
Yeah, a lot of good breweries.
I've heard of them.
A lot of good stuff going up there. But craft beer is it for us. New York right now is a whole different plateau without craft beer. So, as my other brother here will tell you, New York is a whole different.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks. Overhyped brews. I'm Chris. I run brew events. I curate Oktoberfest and Sprung, Free to Wales, UC, a lot of the events at Box over there. It's good.
Justin, I own a small distribution company in Virginia. Get a lot of those guys down here. I always love to come to Florida in the winter.
That's just on the East Coast.
Thanks for having us.
That's just on
But it's so cold here.
Yeah, I know. It's like 55. I'm like, I'll put a sweater on.
They won't lose.
They'll never know.
Yes.
Chilly. As I'm sweating profusely.
Oh, sorry. Do I know the band you want?
Yeah, I'm sweating.
He's a whiner.
I've been waiting for like 3 days.
I do know. Alright, so Chris, pretty much how I'd like to conduct this is an open forum where everyone is kind of, welcome to join in and ask questions and participate in any kind of way they have. I have a couple subjects. I'm going to start it off, and then, I'd like to point to someone, and then I can just kind of start talking and taking it away from there. Does this sound good? Great? We've got a beer, right? We're good. So I just recently read that Ballast Point's going to be at Disneyland, so that's I thought that was really interesting in terms of beer.
I heard they bought Disneyland. For $2 billion. There's a great sculpting ride now.
Slope road.
It's so full of IPA.
If I get to go through Watermelon Dorado, I'll be so happy.
I just wondered what people's thoughts were about the idea of craft beer becoming this very, very kind of, commoditized thing. Especially with Disneyland because they have such a very distinct PR marketing, and that's it's going to be obviously in downtown Disney, but lots of concerns.
Just to be in Disneyland, you need to be a powerhouse. It costs so much money to be there.
But nobody in this room has a chance of being there. We understand that, right? Crowd is great. No, but as far as having
we would be at
beer
Disneyland if we
it's
could be
not
at
going to
Disneyland.
happen.
We wouldn't be here.
No, it's huge. It's huge.
It costs a lot of money. And
It's great for Constellation, but it doesn't affect
exactly.
anybody in this
I was
room.
just gonna say that.
It's good for.
You just said that it's very marketing heavy, so they got someone else that's
in line with it.
Exactly. I think it would have been a much cooler idea if they got someone that was small to show local love, so that when people go to Disney, if they want to get to know local craft beer, then.
I mean, it'd be amazing for them to run a Florida craft beer garden. Because with the heat that we have in this state, it would just be so easy to do. But the problem with locations like that is we're trying to buy bulk, and they're just going to sign a contract with whoever can,
You can keep up with the demand.
feed them with 3 trailers worth of IPA, at bottom cost, and that's what we're really up against.
No Tank Brewing.
The main problem is that they charge basically like a rent on their kegerator there. So like, if you want to get in there, you have to drop a shit ton of money. You literally have to drop a lot of money, even a chance to get into there, whether you can supply it or not.
A local brewery down from here, though, Concrete Beach, they do make a special beer for Disney World. It's the Kangaroo Spice Ale that they do make specially for that the Jungle Cruise.
How many barrels?
I don't have access to that, but they make it's like we're only.
But that's like saying a small brewery down the street called St. Anthony's.
Exactly, they're not
just
local
for
independent.
that's
what I was thinking.
But that brings up another question.
The way it really works
what's in
you get approached by Disney.
Can you be owned by
Disney? Will tell you
it's 25%
if you go by the brewery.
And when you sign that contract's going to be, I need this many halves at a certain time, and they tell you they're going to pay you only this much money. So it's advertising for yourself at the same time. But as a small brewery, you can't afford to give Disney 100 halves and that $50 a half, because that's what it really is. The crazy thing about it, that's what it actually is. And you'll be out of business. Even though it's advertising and all that, you're not making any money. You're losing thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's not really. It's good for a big box brewery. Again, like Ballast Point, you can afford to do that. But for a small brewery, you can't afford to do that.
It's going to be great for Golden Road. It's going to be great for Ballast Point. It's going to be great for those kind of brands. For a civil society, for a cigar city, for Equilibrium, it's death. It's absolute death.
But is that introducing craft beer to people that wouldn't be exposed to it, and then they'll seek out local craft beer when they go home?
So in theory that works.
Yeah,
in theory that works. Here's the problem. On paper, you have someone like Elysium from Washington State. In the book, that's a $65 a slim keg for what's considered an over-hopped up IPA. My nearest comparison to that down the street is Civil Society Fresh at $110 a slim. How am I ever going to fucking compete with that?
Like, you're never going to. And that beer came from fucking Washington State all the way to Florida. This is in my backyard. I'm still paying $1.10 a can for it. So how are you ever going to compete with that? You're not. And that's what Disney is. That's what they're after.
We've been approached by several people like that. Again, the back into it is, I'm going to give you $50 for a half. But yeah, we're going to click your stuff all out. Who gives a fuck? At the same time, you're losing thousands of dollars, and you're a small brewery that has to pay 20 people. It's cost money. You got to pay for the material. You got to pay for the shipping. You have to pay for a lot of stuff that goes along with it. You're losing everything on that just to take a chance at being in a big place like that and market yourself.
But not just that.
And the worst part about it is that when you finally play that game and you finally step into that arena and you are at Disney, you just ruined your brand. Because no one's ever going to pay top dollar for your 4-pack after that. And no one, because you've already lowered your price so low to be in the game. So how are you ever going to get top dollar for your beer after that? You're not. You already hold yourself out. You're done.
You're already at a point to where everything's kind of a lot more local centric now. So when you're a big player like that, it's like you have to find ways to try to get across the country, and you can afford to do that stuff. And you're not even caring about getting top dollar anymore. It's like, man, how much? It's a shotgun approach. It's not a rifle approach. It's like, man, spread it out.
You approach it as marketing because you're like, well, I can run an ad where I can dump this much product into the market, and it's better than me running an ad because at least my product is in people's hands, and that's how you have to treat it. You have to treat it as a marketing cost because there's no other fucking way to really.
Disneyland. But again, that's the thing. It's like they're doing this because everyone thinks Constellation, Funky Buddha, so it's local. But Ballast Point isn't brewed in Florida. It's brewed in Virginia and California. So you're going to get those beers and then Modelo and other things. Like, so you're going to have one line of a local beer and then all 3 or 4 other taps from somebody else. So, are you local now because you're latching on to the Funky Buddha product principle?
I mean, that brings me to the thing: is local better?
The whole I'm not from here, so I can say I'm not local. So.
What's crazy is how much the local scene has changed. 5 years ago in Miami, every bar here just wanted to serve Miami beer. It was all about local Florida beer. But our book and our distro has gotten so good that it doesn't matter anymore. We don't really just. I don't have room for this game day or all these other breweries at my events because we just have too much stuff coming to the state right now. It's tough giving those local guys a place to serve their beer because I only have 20 lines and I got FinMap, Equilibrium, Crooked Run. I got all this shit on there. How am I going to ever put this game day on there? How am I going to fit Tripping Animals? How am I going to fit these other brands? It's getting too much.
But how do you develop a community if you don't support your own backyard?
It's tough.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, especially in Miami, not the
It's tough though because here's the thing: local is cool to a point. I mean, we have too many breweries in Miami right now. There's at least 10 breweries in Miami right now. If they close, I wouldn't care. And I hate to say that, but it's just we have breweries that have breweries, and it's I want good beer. I don't care if you're local. As long as it's fresh, it's priced right, and I can drink it. That's all I really care about.
Sounds like you're more focused on brands that are harder to get down here because
I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on brands I can drink. Mm-hmm. All right, half the market right now.
Can't get down here. I mean, you just name drop 4 places. We can't get any deliveries.
I hear you. But
because Disney World's trying to buy
I know. Apparently,
you'll see it. Disney
World.
He's wearing Mickey Mouse.
What am I supposed to do with Miami Brewing? What am I supposed to do with all these other brands right now that are just mediocre beer at top dollar?
You should never buy local just because it's local.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's what's changed. That was a movement. 5 years ago, we were just buying local because fuck it, it's local beers. 2 years Florida. 2 years ago, he's right.
I think it's getting to a point too where people are so focused on what's rare and not necessarily what's. And I get it. There's a whole segment of the population who wants to drink shit that you can't really get. Yeah. Everybody wants to drink something new. But sometimes
we're experience driven.
So I have great conversations with people. Sometimes I have great conversations with people oh yeah, I want to carry rare shit, and you're just available here. I'm like, well, I brew beer in Miami, so where the fuck else would it be available? I gotta sell beer to stay open, right? So where the hell? You go to Fort Lauderdale, you can't find our beer. We're hard to find, right? So it's like you can't fetishize the rarity of wine, right? So you can't fetishize that. You got to get to the point. You have to understand too. There's a difference between rarity, which there's a huge value in it. I spent 10 years in the hospitality industry, and I ran beer bars and beer this, but I always set aside a spot for local. Because local is fresh, these are people in my backyard I have relationships with. So I think you have to have a balance, 100%.
Well, there's a few places, one place called Maine. If you go to Maine, guess what?
Maine, like city?
Maine.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Maine beers
All
at
you're going to see
the bars there,
is
right?
Maine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Well,
just
why
what it is.
Why would they bring anything else in?
You don't need their beers. But that's they're hardcore local. And I mean, they're diehards.
Yeah.
And I love that about them. They're diehards.
But they can afford to be
Robo
because the quality's there.
Yes,
That's the difference that we're
Now,
That's
New
the
York,
flavor.
for us, in New York, we have a lot of New York beer. Everywhere I go, every tablets I see, I'm loving them. I'm like, yeah, it's all New York. Before I had to drive 4 or 5 hours to try the Vermont to get the beer that I wanted. Like, wow, we heady topper. We're getting, just something phenomenal from Hill Farmstead. These guys have all these great beer, and we have it now in our backyard. We have it. So there's a lot of places that you get your differences.
We all know there's a lot of bad breweries. I mean, we can say, there's just a lot of bad.
There's a lot of off flavors in this.
But I'm also with what Chris said. I'm all about the experience too. So when I say I want to support local, obviously support local is always going to be number one for me because that's the American dream. Anybody who's here wants to have their own business and do their own thing. But if the brewery sucks and they're not doing it for the right reasons and just because they want to become rich or whatever, and there's no passion, I don't want to support you.
They want to become rich and they have passion.
They want to become rich.
There's a difference between brewing just for money and brewing with passion and wanting money.
But in this business,
I agree with you. There's breweries here that I
This
not
is
that I
not
would
business.
support
No
them,
one
but
gets
I
in this
support
industry to
about
get
it.
rich.
Like you're saying,
Where's the pedigree?
We know a couple people like this. It's not working out for us.
There's this little one-offs that do that. So honestly, in this business, you don't
they'll be drained and
you do what you love in this business.
Yeah, you have to.
Is your craft beer experience trying to find rare beer, which that could be, I guess, a portion of the experience?
Yeah, of course.
Or is your craft
it's kind
beer
of like wine. You always want something that's rare and nobody else can have.
Or is it? But does it make it? Is it better because it's rare?
It's not better.
No, it's not better because
I hate that argument.
But
A 100 bottle release stout is not going to be necessarily better than a full production stout. I hate that argument. It's not because it's more rare. I just like better beer. Perception.
But that's what I mean. It's not about the reality always. It's about the perception of it. If you've worked hard and there's nobody else that's drinking it, and you finally get a glass of this fantastic, 100-year barrel aged, this. I mean, isn't part of that going to feed into the taste, into your own sensory experience with it? Because I feel like when I'm in a good state, things taste better, feel better, smell better.
I would like
so
to try
there's a
100
taste
year
to that, especially that
barrel
kind
aged
of feel.
something.
It matters.
100 years old. I mean,
If it's 100 years old, I was gonna say 100 year barrel aged. I'd like to try that.
I feel like the Genesis Quad, it's not a wild beer. Third generation. I will pull up on tap re-sign in after 5 years. What I have. I drink it. You did.
What do you guys think over there? Especially because you're not from over here, Tom. You have a different kind of perception on what craft beer is evolving into, especially since you guys don't, you're not stateside.
Well, I arrived in England in 2013, but I had been visiting quite a bit before that. They were slightly late to the game, but in this last 3 years, the city of London itself went from 4 years, 30 breweries to 130.
Wow.
So it's kind of like I hear what everybody's saying, and it's we're seeing that just a little bit delayed on our side of the pond, and we're seeing that it is fetishized. This idea of a romantic brewing lifestyle. All these guys quit their job in finance, start a brewery, the market becomes flooded. Mm-hmm. Sticking out in a market like that and surviving in a market like that, just from a business perspective for us, is about cash flow. We'll never be rich either because we're constantly sinking our money back into the equipment to be better overall than everyone else around us. So it's 8 to 10 years behind over there, but it's happening very fast. And we're seeing the same buyouts that you're seeing over here. We're seeing the same styles trickle across. There's a lot of travel back and forth between the States and the UK, and collaborations that sort of speed up all of those advances in brewing. So it's just it's a microcosm of what's happening here. It's happening very quickly. And we're also having to, as an industry, try to define what we are and who we are, and separate out what is just a brewery from what is a craft experience where, people are making interesting shit. They're being creative. It's driven by the creative side. It's not driven by the sales side. All of that stuff is something that we're definitely still finding our footing as an industry in the UK.
I guess.
Where were you living before you moved over there?
Tokyo. So I was living and working in Japan, and it's funny about the whole Disney thing. There's always been a brewery out just at the footstep of Tokyo Disney, Preston Ales, and they have this sort of vicarious relationship with Disney that their business is driven by the footfall of the park, and it's very symbiotic. But I don't think that they have to deal with the cost relationship like you guys are describing, where they're getting, whatever it is, $55 for a 20-liter keg or something, and all of their customer base is 100% through the front door, as opposed to almost any sales out the back door.
Which is what every brewery needs to focus on, is taproom sales.
Yes. Precisely. That has been our goal for ages.
I'm a small distributor, I worked in a brewery beforehand, but don't talk to me about signing a distribution contract. Open your brewery.
Yeah.
Sell your beer.
Yeah.
In-house. That's where you're going to be successful. And you're going to be, if you're successful, then we can work later, and then maybe I can be a little successful after you're successful.
In Oslo, that's a perfect example of
it's
that.
It's just like everybody thinks they have to have a distribution contract, and they don't.
Oslo puts out what, 6 years?
Yeah, well, no, even then, just sell it in-house. You want to sell it.
So we in 2013, we can sell any.
I know the courtyard guys pretty well.
So we built a whole we had to build a distribution network to start off with, and 2 years ago we were allowed to start selling straight to consumer. So
that leads me. What you just said leads me to something.
It's like, no, you can ship your beer out.
Not even shipping it out. Just you want people to come in, have an experience at the brewery, fall in love with what the brewery is.
Yeah, my favorite is that people are like, I'm like, so what's your business plan? Oh, well, we sell beer and it sells itself. I'm like, yeah, you're fucked. Yeah. Your product is the experience you provide people, the brand, your marketing, your relationships with people. Your product is beer, yeah, but everybody else says it. They're going to come in and be, oh yeah, my beer is better. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, nobody knows that. Yeah. So nobody gives a fuck.
Get it in.
Yeah, it's all about relationships. It's all about pushing your brand, and especially in this room, I think you can't survive in this day without having a kick-ass tasting room.
So, we were talking earlier before this whole thing started, and what you just said about selling beer in your tap room, that brought up a really good point, because I was reading an article recently that I had talked about, and it was an article about, it kind of linked into trending beers. And, one of my favorite memes is the one that, the evolution of man, or the evolution of the beer snob, where it started at lagers and went to IPAs.
Barley wine is obvious.
And barley wine and stouts. And then, it's kind of leading back to lagers and, clean beers and, in the day and age that we're living in with all these different styles that are coming out. So we were talking about that these days, some breweries don't even care about their quality anymore. That they're just trying to push out the trendy beers and just trying to get people into their doors.
Yeah.
Now,
big name breweries do this.
Now, as brewers and brewery owners, and the people in the industry that we have here today, where do you stand on that? Do you stand on the side that yes, I kind of have to brew those trendy beers to get people into our doors, or do you kind of say, fuck it, I'm going to brew what I brew, and if it's good enough to stand on its own two legs and to get people through our doors?
As many breweries that are open as artists. Specialization is going to be the answer going forth. You have to brew the beers that you want to brew. lot of cats who have a place that's open, that's operating, it's doing okay, but they want to push it. They think, all right, well, I'll sling out a hazy New England style IPA that's going to solve all their problems because that's what's on the streets right now. The fact of the matter is that's like not going to solve all your problems. You didn't have to sell that. So if you just put that shit on tap, you think that's going to solve your problems, but that's not exactly. You've got to make sure that your marketing is there. You need to make sure that all the other pieces, the experience is there, and exclusivity sells, man. Like, you know, we say that you don't want to think that something rare is necessarily like better, but it does increase the overall desire because back to like you look at stuff that's out there right now, people want to try stuff, they want to taste all the flavors of the rainbow, they want to see what's out there, and so they're trading for beers from all over the place because they want to get stuff. So if you just throw something on, it's not going to solve all your problems. And so trending beers are great and all that, and it's fun to do that every now and again, but if you make that a significant part of your business model and you don't put all the stuff behind it, you're still dead in the water because if a tree falls in the woods, no one's there to hear from.
I think it's about balance. Right, so you got to have a good balance of cool beers and beers that are like high rate of sale. So we make a 5.5% IPA for Dennis off. It's 40% of what we make. You know, it's like bread and butter. It's there.
Is that what you want to make? Is what you have to make?
No, it's just we enjoy making it. But then on the side of that, we release like 28 to 30 beers worth of kind of specials, all one batch stuff, and that's where you can get creative.
I mean, you have to make an IPA. We can all agree on that, right? You have to. You can't be like, I'm just going to make lagers and that's it.
Oh,
you're not going to be successful.
Wait, I can't do that? You do that.
Yes. The romantic thing is, why did we all start doing this?
What about beer stat? What about beer stat in Colorado?
Beer stat in Colorado.
So, do what you love.
Yes, brew what you love. Like
the top 10 that just came out, side projects. What did they brew?
Bad beer.
Suarez. What did they brew? Suarez has the best pilsner on the planet.
Yes.
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 That's what he does. That's what he loves to do. I love him for that.
And Folks beer?
All the time. Every beer he makes, I love. Like he makes. Look at Hudson Valley Brewery. Hudson Valley Brewery makes sour IPAs. Sour IPAs. Think about it. But yet, that's what they love to do, and they do it. They didn't go and say, "I'm making a double IPA. I'm making this hazy." They didn't do that. Neither did Suarez. There's a lot of breweries that don't do that, and they do just fine. They're in the market, right?
That's a bold statement, though. Best clothes in the market. I feel like beer is so subjective.
Oh my god, have you tasted it though? No. If you've never had it, don't say anything.
It's a top 3. Not only they make the best pilsner in the game, they make the top 10 pilsners in the game.
So, number one, I've never had one of the beers.
You
number
have
two,
to.
I will eventually. Number
I'll get there.
You need to travel more, baby.
Number 2.
No, actually, I'll bring you some.
Please do. I'm sure they make fucking fantastic pilsners. I just find it so hard to say something's the best and something's so subjective. I mean,
something is the best. Right?
Is it?
I don't know. To you. I mean, something.
What's the best?
EQ makes the best IPA.
You should give it a go.
Now you know right now. I think
you should give it a go, though.
No, I didn't say shit. I find it interesting that people would be like, "Oh, yeah, this is the best." I'm like, "All right, says who? Says you." It says maybe most people, fine, right? But at the end of the day, it's a subjective product.
So, what do you think of those? What do you think of those Rate Beer and Beer Advocate ratings then?
But they're just all
Rate Beer is owned by someone else, isn't it? Isn't Rate Beer owned by ABM?
Yeah, I mean they're all subjective at the end of the day, right? So.
Yeah, and then Untapped is more like a
about that kind of sequel too. Untapped.
Yeah, right, dude. And then like half the breweries on that list were all bought out. I was like, oh, what the fuck is this?
Have you guys heard of these?
we have.
Are they new? Not them. They're opening in Charlotte, right?
But to your question earlier, you said maybe people just put out hype beers just to put out hype beers, not worried about quality. Man,
you and them are
everybody's like brewing IPA now. A lot of people are doing hazy IPAs now, and there's a lot of bad hazy IPAs out there. So yes, quality is. It doesn't matter what you're brewing. Whether it's like whether you're brewing a dad beer, a shelf beer, a hype beer. None of that matters. Quality is what matters over everything,
Yes.
and that's what separates the top from the
Doesn't
bottom.
matter what you want to do.
It's
Just do
attention
it.
to detail. It's like seeing it through the whole 9 yards. And the game's so different now that, yes, the beer has to be excellent. It's like you were saying earlier, the marketing has to be on point. The everything, your social media has to be on point. Your label, everything has to. It's not just like good beer just doesn't sell itself anymore. That is very, very much a part of it. But everything
It's the whole
around
brand.
that, yeah, that's why you hire it now.
Literally. Speaking of which, try Ale Apothecary's new pastry stout. It's going to be great.
Is there a brewery that you think that's underrated that people are always kind of missing?
Equilibrium, obviously.
Who's
Who has not met Will yet?
They're not underrated. I think the
He's not going to talk to me. He's going to be like, I can't think you're too small.
He's not going to give you your beer tomorrow, Cam.
Calusa's
Calusa and
pricing is
Triple Crossing
insane
are
and way
probably
too
the
low.
most underrated.
Someone who I don't work in Florida, but I've seen what they
Calusa's
charge.
probably
Like,
making
that
the
beer is
best hops on the
$30. Everyone talks about what?
I'm gonna go in a few
You're
places.
selling
I go Verdant.
Verdant, for sure.
Verdant is one of my favorite breweries. I love what they're doing in Verdant, and that's over in your area in the UK. Those guys are making some phenomenal beers out in the UK. I like Three Chiefs actually in California. Their stouts are
So they got
really
really
cheap.
cheap.
Their stouts.
Hey, do you like Three Sons? But in California, you like Three Chiefs.
No one talks about Sarah, and she's probably like the baddest girl in the game right now.
I think for Florida, Calusa.
Calusa is,
if you don't know about Calusa,
hands
you
down,
don't know about
Florida.
Calusa. Calusa is
Probably the
phenomenal.
best. What's the thing about Florida? You guys have like Calusa and Proof and all these other breweries
Aubrey,
coming up.
Proof.
These are great breweries. Everyone focuses on like on the
They
beer.
look like this. Calusa might be the best brewery in Florida.
I get like
no
out of
one's
market
talking
in
about
Virginia.
it.
That's really good beer.
Consistency wise, it's insane. Like absolutely insane. Dude, we have a one-off sour one on Saturday. We're going
And what bothers me is like
They're just so
breweries
scattered.
scatter shit. Everyone always
Dinner, and the boys are here on Friday.
That's what I'm saying, because I give too many.
Miami is a huge market. You
A
have
lot of people,
outlets.
especially Miami-Dade. I mean, I'm from Hialeah. It's the second largest city in Miami.
Cam, you're from Hialeah. I never knew.
I'm so sorry.
Me too. I'm from Hialeah too. I'm from West Hialeah though. What's the difference? West Hialeah. I went to Papa Goman.
You want more breweries to like get better quality.
Yeah, I don't want the breweries to stop, and I want to be kind of inundated with breweries down here, but I do want the quality levels to get to a certain point. I mean, I'm not going to obstruct keep wanting to get better stuff in my, as a buyer.
That's what happens is
I think
the church. You
I
get
think
somewhere
we're
like
ready
where the market's
I think we're ready for
church, you have a bunch of lower quality breweries. If you did, there's almost where you can hear about it. When it's like a newer place, it's kind of up on the up. Like it takes a while sometimes for the shakeouts happen, and sometimes people get on board really quick. You might start off a little bit shaky, but like you get your feet up under it and you really start running. So it just depends on how mature your market is.
You also see that shit questions all the time, right? Like sometimes it takes people to figure out what exactly they're doing on a larger scale.
Because you're going right to restaurants.
Yeah, well, I mean, you see that. I mean, you go to a place that opens up. It's their first shot at it. You go in the first 3 months.
Oh, you can't. Yeah.
Good
Don't
Lord!
let that Yelp review.
Like it take
1 star. It was too busy.
Some cats hit the ground running. Other cats kind of have to grow into it.
Some markets are more forgiving when you gotta kind of grow into it. Some markets you have to hit the ground.
Absolutely. Some you have to be more aggressive than others, and others that you can.
And if not, then you can kind of.
Other communities will give you that.
This is one of those markets. Unfortunately, this is one of those markets because we're so saturated right now.
Miami's a little tough.
So
we're so spoiled. We're really spoiled.
We're
a big part of it's because of John, and a big part of it's a lot of the events.
And we're
speaking
big,
of
we're
growth,
vastly different people in vastly different areas.
Our events in Miami have brought in so many temporary contracts that we're used to so many rare beers that we have no business getting. That it's kind of fucked up the market a little bit.
It's like look at checks here.
I do, but
speaking of
so
growth,
it's his fault.
I mean, I know it's a little on the older side of business, but that whole controversy that happened with Trillium.
Oh. Sorry.
Which one?
I really got No, because I'm curious. I'm curious to hear what your guys' take on it. The most recent one where they opened the new spot and they were rehiring the same people at a lower pay grade, and the whole thing. Well, again, it was
There
some
was also beer bullshit going on with that as well. There was like some batches.
that they were saying that they were underfilling stuff and they were putting a lot of shit into the kegs, and they were.
What bothers me more, honestly, is their practices with employees. That for me,
that's
as someone that runs a place that has employees and that really values the connection between an owner, and management and staff. Like for me, that's just the most important part of what I do.
It would bother you a million fucking times more if you've been to either one of their locations, because it's just a printing machine.
I'm not going to comment on this because he's a good friend of mine. I love him. I love his wife.
No, but I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's true or not true because it was literally someone that just posted on Reddit. So you never really know.
I don't want to get into his business, but I'll tell you what,
I just think that sometimes it's about the culture when you get from this to this.
Why are they
I
doing
don't think
that?
it's about assigning labels.
I will say
It's
this,
about
I was a little
shitty practices or not. I will say
we
that
wouldn't have invited them to box. We wouldn't have. So
like when you start off as like a small company, like you have people wearing a bunch of different hats, and you when you grow really fast, you find gaps, and sometimes you have to react really fast to fill those gaps. And like I said, I don't know what happened, what didn't happen. I'm not, here to pass judgment by any means.
There's a lot more behind that.
No, that's what I'm saying. I really don't know.
All I'm saying is as you're growing, there's always going to be gaps in your business that you could have done better. And you look back and you're like, man, we had this person last year. Or I'm not even realizing I'm focused on something else in my business because I'm wearing 10 different hats right now.
I think that's a really, really important thing to talk about when you transition from small business to big business. Because I've seen it as an employee. Exactly. When you grow this fast, you miss some points, and not because you're not trying to, but just because the rate at which you're growing just it topples you over, and not speaking from a brewery experience, but speaking for companies that I've worked for in general. It happens before you even know it, and things change.
Nobody has an HR department before they're like, oh shit, we should have an HR department. I mean, seriously,
I guess there's a couple things that happened with William and they were talking about.
There's more to that story. They are good people over there. Like, there's more to that story.
No, of course. The only thing that gets printed is the bullshit. The thing that'll get people reading. But
get friends.
They're really honest. You meet the family there. The employees there are wonderful. My buddy Matt's the manager there. Great guy.
I've been to both properties several times.
A lot of good people. They love what they do. They love craft beer. You don't see chilling all over the place. They sell at their locations. They take pride in what they do. Those guys, a lot of pride. So I can't.
Pretty impressive.
Huh?
They were pretty impressive.
They do.
It's good beer.
I prefer them over Treehouse. I think they were great. That's what recently.
I can only imagine what it's like to be in that position and just think that you're accomplishing something and it just slips out of your hands in 2 seconds. This idea, this family. Like, it's very easy to run a family-owned business in a big way. I think that once you grow, I think it just doesn't work that way. I don't think they can have that luxury.
Some people, that's hard to be a family.
Absolutely, you can't. There's no point. That's what I'm saying. I think that's what people, when you change and evolve, that's just the nature of the business. I don't think that I think it's really hard to keep that kind of mentality and camaraderie when you have different areas and 100+ people and in one department and things like that. I mean, what do you do?
And just like in beer, like one bad review or one person saying one bad thing is
one person
equal to 10,000 people saying a good thing. It's very different.
As someone who runs a restaurant, I'm fully aware of how damning one person could be to business. All it takes is one person to be upset with me and screaming at the top of their lungs for the next hour, and then that's my that's my week. And then it turns into my month, and it's my year because that's the first Yelp review that pops up on your push. And as much as
Spano's run up in New York, like you grow so fast. Like the place I was at, when I started there, there was like 13 people that worked there. A year and a half later, there's 70 people that like I didn't know all their names. And like it gets hard.
Hey,
real fast, you know? Hey, you work here, right? You're supposed to be here. Right?
You're not a regular.
So, I mean, that's a good question about that Yelp thing you brought. Do you guys pay attention to comments and stuff on sites like Yelp? You know, and again, like Beer Advocate, Rate Beer, those stuff that they rate your beers at, and the comments that they leave. Do you guys pay attention to that? Do you guys watch that?
Oh, which one?
Oh, I definitely did in the beginning. Literally everyone. I was just constantly like, ugh. Or like, it's really bad for my heart. So like, I stopped doing that.
I used to work for him, so yeah, he was too about it.
I stopped doing that pretty early on because I was just like,
it's a great way to find beer that's out of Kroger. It's like, oh, this double IPA sucks. Oh, we haven't brewed that in years, so I should probably go check it out.
That is a good point. Yeah, you can very much be like, this was like a seasonal from like 12 months ago. But yeah, of course.
Of course it definitely sucks. Let's go visit the account, but you can't pay attention to that shit.
I also just recently saw that Bud Light is doing this kind of transparency packaging. So they're listing all their ingredients on the side. Yeah, I didn't know.
Oh, but you didn't know that AB InBev is bringing sours into America?
Oh, is that
after years of never having sour? Did you guys see that? The ad that AB InBev put out with Wicked Weed. They said that they were bringing sours into America after years of.
It's the dumbest marketing campaigns of the goddamn. Hey, it turns blue when it's cold. Like motherfuckers' fingers don't look. You can do that?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I missed what I was going to say. Sorry.
That AB InBev is bringing sours into America.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
As am I. I'm the first person that is stouts. I am now producing it. Also, effectiveness on my own branding. Like that. Do you guys take a break real quick? I'm going to get some beers out. See if anybody else needs anything after the break. Sure. Or not, because I can stand here. That as well. A resounding yes or no?
I'm good.
Alright. So no one else wants to drink?
That's all I got. I got to fly. Yeah, that's it. I can't leave either.
Take 5 then?
Good.
I said take 5. No one agreed with me on responded, so I'm.
Jester King is amazing.
Yes, you can tell the bottle I have over here.
So
yeah.
Whatever I'm drinking is really good.
It's delicious, right?
And it was
it's
port.
very delicious.
It was also
one of my
port.
favorites that we have in house, so I knew that you'd appreciate it as well. Like,
She didn't get a cup. Did she get one?
She knows that I like
That's my shit.
That's why. We were talking about things that are
It also smells really
my
good too.
experience, this is a very well made beer.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
really
"Yes,
good.
you want some chairs? You don't want this.
I feel like some of my favorite beers are sitting in the
And that's the thing. I mean, but that's my point. As a buyer, I have a difficult job in which I try to find out the dichotomy between what people will drink.
Sure. Got another chair.
You want a chair? I said it makes me look fat. So
Chuck myself out.
That's why I try to elongate myself. So I look That's why I say.
Cam, coming from me, it's never gonna happen.
Same here. I'm like, look at this. What it
I'm
is
like,
at this point.
I think we're all the same
When I stand
height.
up, there's no difference.
You know, Mo reaches a very good point. I buy a lot of beer. And unfortunately, what I like and what people like and what people consume are two different things. You know, a lot of what I have there is what I consider to be amazing, excellently made beer. And different styles, different, price points, all that kind of stuff. But what happens to me is I do find it sitting on my shelves a little longer than it should. And I refuse to stop buying the beers that I think are good. But where does it end? What are we perpetuating in our culture that this is, we talk the talk, but yet somehow the buying power isn't there. Like, ladies, this has been sitting on my shelf for a little bit. and that's a fantastic beer. And part of that is just, what's popular, what's not, what's revolutionary. Yeah.
You should get one.
Do you have extra?
I do. Oh, I've taken some.
Yeah, you kind of have to cater to your customers.
Absolutely.
Just like we do.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Yeah,
60% of our sales is our amber ale. I fucking love our amber ale, right?
Wait a minute. Let me pause you.
Like, I might drink one of
guys,
my
let me
stuff
give
here.
Mo some credit. We were talking about the best Pilsner, which, yes, that's still the best Pilsner. But in Miami, you guys should all try Playita. To me, that is a whale. Oh, amazing.
Apparently it's a whale.
For me.
According to this guy.
For me.
I only drink ghost whales. No, the only thing I was trying to say is I've never had the Suarez Pills. I'm sure it's fucking amazing. But at the end of the day, it is. Okay.
Guess what? It is.
What's a Pils? It's 100% fucking Pils malt with clean
But not everyone makes it good.
Agreed. I would be the first person to say that. But at the end of the day, we're talking about something that's purely subjective. Like, we could all sit here and talk about what's the best movie, and we're all going to have a different fucking opinion at the end of the day. So I don't see why it's not the same thing with beer. Just me.
It's delicious. I'm just good beer. That's why I'm
Yeah, as long as it's good beer is what matters. I'm sure it's amazing beer. I'm not saying it's not, but I don't fetishize beer because I guess I run CIPs just like this guy, and at the end of the day, we're all just fucking brewers. We're just making the beer we want to make. We're making beer that we know what it's like to have to meet a production schedule. Like, we don't care about what's going on in the hype game. Like, that's.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you had Red Chili running coleslaw.
Yeah, right?
I have plays at Kansas Locale, and I go through at least 2 cases, sometimes 3 if we're on a busy week.
So which one?
Playita.
I love Playita.
Yeah.
That's my golf beer.
No, we've actually struggled to keep it stocked. So I mean, it's a good problem to have. It's also kind of a bad problem to have because people come up to us like, "What the fuck did you have this beer?" I'm like,
Because it's not good.
Yeah, like hurry up, step it up. And, well, the problem we're having too is you guys will be able to relate to this. So in Miami, our tap water comes out at 80 degrees. Our system, when we were trying to do double brew days in one day, we couldn't get the CLT down and cool enough to be able to run the second batch. So we had to basically modify to have a heat exchanger to recirculate. And see, this is what brewers think about. We don't think about like what somebody's rating our beer on the tap time.
Well, you used to.
No, I get a good laugh out of that. It's always fun. Yeah. That's always fun.
A couple of cries?
No, you gotta be overconfident with stuff like that. No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just purely subjective. I'm busy working, bro. Like, I don't have time to like worry about some guy who didn't like my IPA because it smelled too much like hops. Like, okay.
It's supposed to.
Yeah, I stopped reading Untapped when someone gave us a bad review from a double IPA. He was like, "Don't like hops. Don't know why I bought it."
Well, it's like, hello, do you know how to read? It says IPA on the can.
Yeah, I wanted to buy it. It's just like, yeah, don't like hops. Don't know why I bought this. Gave it a shit review. It's like, cheers.
But I also feel like it's important to educate your staff a little bit and your guest at the same time. I mean, obviously, you're not going to like ramble on to a guest about something, but if someone comes up to me and they're like, "Oh, I want a pale ale," I'm like, "Okay, cool. So let's talk now." So when you mean a pale ale, because sometimes they think pale ale, and they literally, I've had people just think they want a light colored ale.
Sure. But 99% of our beer is not sold by our staff.
Yeah.
That's the tough part. So one of the big.
See, I'm at a different point. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Since I do restaurants, I have to.
Well, you guys sold a lot of our
myself.
beer, so thank you for. We get only great reviews from Lookout, I'm sure.
Gotcha.
No, but for sure, it's 100%. It's like trying to guide the guests, and having been on that side of the industry, you guys. A lot of
I feel like that's important to educate the guests.
Education is everything. So the perfect example are my friends here. They're not like in the craft beer industry or like super high in the craft beer like drinking world, and they're hearing all these comments going around in this room, and they're like, "Wow." He just told me right now, he's like, "Oh, I drink whatever comes my way, like whether it's cocktails, wine, beer, whatever. I don't discriminate." He's like, "But now it's different. Like I'm hearing all these stories and like hearing about people who own breweries, people who are brewing beer. And like maybe next time I'll think more on whether I get a beer versus anything else." You know, it's just little things like that.
I don't know a lot about the brewing process. I know the basics.
Brewers should drink other things besides
I know how to
beers,
communicate.
too. Most definitely. That is very good.
I drink mostly other stuff.
I drink water from time to time.
A lot of brewers I talk to is like, bro, fuck beer. I'm around beer all day. I don't want to. Give me a whiskey. Dude.
I drink a whiskey.
You're feeling stronger.
I'm like, no, that's not how that's supposed to taste. Like,
Me and the Otto's been stored in the attic for 8 months.
What would you all say is the biggest problems facing the growth of craft beer?
Like, so many cats are trying to get into the same game that, you know, if everybody's yelling at the same time, you kind of lose individual voices. So, like, I think that next evolution is going to look like more cats specialize and be like, look, man, you know, if you like what we do, that's cool. If you don't, I got a homie up the street that you're going to love. You know, like, and I think that's kind of.
It is about
the next
supporting each
evolution.
other as well.
Yeah.
If you don't support each other,
You guys might be in a different situation than we are, but in the United States, overall, as an industry, beer is shrinking. Craft beer is taking a bigger part of that shrinking pie, and now you have more than a brewery a day opening, fighting for less consummation of the same number of draft points. So yeah, locals where it's at. And one of the things that's scary to me is when you have conversations with local bars who are like, oh yeah, you know, I don't want to drink local beer, I want to drink rare beer, and it's like, and sometimes you get the conversation like I've literally had conversations with people like, oh, I love your beer, but you know, I want to get stuff that's rare and it's not available here. I'm like, well, where the fuck else are we going to be available? I'm a block away.
I feel like I've been really good about balancing that out.
No,
because
that's
I am
not
all
you.
over.
Definitely
No,
not
no,
you.
I'm just saying, but like that's
But he
something
was looking at you.
no, but that's
You specifically.
At locale, we're local. We're 100% local for most of the menu.
It's in the name.
I worked on getting, like I was just saying, I had Southern Prohibition tap last week, and I was super stoked to get those kegs, and like, you know, still showing my guests like, hey, this is what we have local-wise, and we're always going to have this, but you know, this is also something fun and special and rare, and you know, we're going to have this in every so often.
Yeah.
How is it in England? Is it just growing like crazy?
Yeah, to answer your question earlier, from a producer perspective, there's been a paradigm shift in supply chain. So it used to be that all of these breweries sourced, you know, a finite amount of really popular hop breeds and whatever else they're using. And suddenly in the last few years, what you've seen is the brewers step away from contracting out 4 and 5 years in advance for all of these raw materials and begin to, because the losses were really high. You gotta remember, when hop becomes popular, particularly hop style, you know, it takes 2 to 3 years out before they can really meet the yields that they're looking for to make it profitable from a farmer's perspective. And so that's too long in the actual evolution of beer styles in today's world. And so there's been this massive shift from, you know, having all of these raw materials planned out and bought, and now everyone is going for this brand new hop in 1 year, and then the next year nobody wants it, and it's surplus. You know, it's surplus. It's no longer. It's turned the entire system on its head. So not only do you have more finicky customers, but then that translates down the line to volatility in the actual supply of all the raw materials. It's become it's a really dangerous situation, to be honest, because last year in the UK there was 500,000 tons of wasted hops that literally were contracted out and then had to go from contract price to spot market price, which in turn makes all of these hop brokers really scavenge for some kind of a profit or return on their investment. All of these things are playing into I think the backside of the conversation. So if you're looking at what the customers are doing and they're screaming about how they want something rare, and I always question what percentage of the market that actually is, because year in and year out, we're selling more of our normal IPA and Pilsner than we are of any of these other things. Now, people are coming back to us because we're weekly producing a new beer that's for me as a former home brewer very exciting to continue to make all these new recipes. But we're seeing 150% growth each year, and it's consistently driven by these core products.
Now, is that growth in your tap room, or is that?
It is. It's across the board. So
Restaurant,
it's back of the house and front of the house sales. And I hear a lot of customers come in and they want rare shit, but I'll bring in an entire pallet of a friend's beer from Northern California, and that will sit on our taps 3 times longer than our beers will, because the majority of our customers who come into our tap room, they want our beer. So the local really does still sell, but this idea of that special rare thing is really turning the market on its head. And if you look at what it's doing to raw material supply, you go to a conference with a bunch of farmers, hop farmers, grain farmers, all of these producers of different raw materials for using, and it's nothing but complaints about the fact that they don't know how to predict what to plant the next year, what percentage of Amarillo or these really staple old school hops versus Idaho 7 and 386 and all of these experimental things. Because that, having a rare beer from Trillium or Hill Farmstead or something with this specific ingredient for that crop year, it's just making everything more volatile.
We get the whole discussion on the aftermarket, like hop sales and like secondary markets and like hop brokers and all that. That is a very fascinating thing, and it's like obviously a good thing for certain people and a bad thing for a lot of people as well. It's very interesting thing that's happening in craft beer. It's like aftermarket hop sales and stuff like that. As you're saying, so many people have over-contracted for so long, and then the aftermarket was flooded when everybody was like, man, I can't use these hops, basically. So, like you said, the farmers have no idea what's going on. Hop producers don't know what's going on. I mean, it's pretty chaotic right now.
So, here's...
trade?
No.
Trade hops? Yeah. Brewers trade hops?
Yeah.
There are websites that are like basically like a secondary market to just
like an eBay for hops.
Exchange.
I'm not trying to brew beer. I'm trying to flip gallons.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what they make money. They said making money selling hops can make us some money.
So, do you see breweries in the future kind of like after the market's leveled out and the growth or the opening of craft breweries like kind of levels out? Do you see breweries in the future growing, becoming maltsters and becoming hop farmers and growing their own malts and hops for their beers?
Man, I don't know if that's like kind of your niche. Like farm breweries are kind of a thing, and if that's kind of your thing, then yeah. But for the vast majority of people, no, that's not even tough. Like a realistic thing. You're worried about like your employees coming in. You're worried about getting the beer out the door. You don't want to have to worry about a whole other side of the industry, which is like growing your ingredients. That sounds like a nightmare.
You're trying to grow like Citra in southern Louisiana. I'm sorry, your beer's going to be bad. Like that's just the nature of the thing. It's bad climate for that. So, but you don't always see that specialization. Like you see, like high-end restaurants on working farms, and they source most of their ingredients through their farm. So, yeah, absolutely. Like it's going to be a niche that's always there, but like if brewery growth is going to be sustained,
it's too much for any one person to know. I mean, to be a maltster, you got to be a fucking badass, and to be a hop grower, you got to know your shit. So to be a maltster, a hop grower, a microbiologist, a chemist, and engineer is too much work.
And a brewer.
We rely a lot on other professionals as brewers. A lot of different hats, yeah. But, you have big companies that can do it. Sierra Nevada does it to a very small degree, right? I know Rogue does a lot of that. I'm sure I mean, we can't grow malt here, so it's not going to happen for us.
Florida's a whole different culture.
What I have heard that's interesting is people are like investing in like hop plots. So like they'll invest in a hop farmer for sex, like you buy a few acres or something. But it's a lot to do one thing. There's so much you can do in the brewing industry that you can't do as a brewer. Like as a brewer, I'll never know everything there is. Yeah,
it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, but even as a brewer, I'll never know everything there is to know about brewing. It's not possible. It's too much.
totally use local ingredients. Just kind of do a pastelito like pastry style.
That's
Yo, you should do a pastelito beer.
But even like selling beer too. I guess another
yeah. Sales guys, marketing, and so on.
So I have a question for you. You said that you came from New York, but you're gonna open up your brewery in New Orleans, right? Why? Why? And then you mentioned later that you couldn't sell beer from a tap room or something like that.
No. I was.
Oh, okay. But then the original question.
I mean, I'd like to have a more creative answer than New Orleans is home for me, but like I've been in New York for about 5 years, and like it's dope living there. Like the level of access in that city is insane. Like whenever there's something you want in New York, you're surprised when you can't get it. What? No, we don't have this here. That's impossible. Like, but
how dare you?
It's just time to go home. You know, like I've been wanting to do it for a while, and I had an opportunity to do it, and someone's like, "Hey, you want to start something back home?" I'm like, yeah.
So New York's more saturated than New Orleans too, right?
Yeah, not really. The population density really
for sure.
That,
Percentage
plus
people.
tourism, like
there's probably more room for growth, I imagine, right? You don't think so?
The laws there are not very forgiving in Louisiana. It's still south. They have a free-tier system, still okay. But I think there is room for growth. It's just you really have to find your niche and like your wiggle room. Otherwise, you're like a lot of cats there are still selling beer in a very traditional way. You know, they're trying to grow up, go through distribution, go through the 20-barrel system, do a 60-barrel system, and really just get out there into multiple states and stuff like that. And you know, like there's going to be a certain like places that are trying to do their own thing. They're going to pop up. There's going to have to be a little bit of a certain retraining to the market. Like, hey. Yeah, no, I know you know what a brewery is, but this is like a little bit different. There's different kinds of those. So, yeah, you know, you have to kind of retrain the customers a little bit.
There's a lot of operating costs changing in New York.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, that's something else that you think of opening up a business. I mean, I know New York is you extrapolate that. It's very
I mean, every place has its own problem. New York, the problem is real estate, right? So, like, you know, you have to, if you've got 8,000 square feet of space, you've got to get every fucking little bit out of 8,000 square feet.
Yeah.
You know, because your rent cost is whatever the fuck it is, and it's a whole different animal there. Yeah, it's laws. Yeah, Louisiana's really laws. Like,
they keep the city.
They can't, Jesus. I have a lot of bosses now. They're all like low-key public officials. But no, man. When it comes to Louisiana, every place has its challenges, right? Like, if you open a brewery on 40 acres of raw land, your challenges are, what the fuck do I do with water? What do I do with sewage? Like, you don't have those issues in New York, but now it's like, okay, how do I sell my beer at a place where I can afford my rent? You know, New Orleans has some of the challenges as well, and that right now is mainly that their laws are super duper antiquated. So, you know,
welcome to the South.
Yeah. Hey, yo, we don't like different things.
So, I have a question for you. How long ago did you leave Japan for England?
I initially was evacuated from Japan during the tsunami in 2011.
Oh, sure, okay.
And then I went back and 6 months later and started tying up some loose ends, and I continued to work there for another year before moving to England.
Where are you from, though, originally?
St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, shit.
Full disclosure, my father was a brewer at Budweiser.
Oh, wow.
So,
that was my grandfather.
I wanted him to say probably Cameroon or something.
Wow, it's like a family history over here.
I was a home brewer in Japan, and then I did a brief stint at a company called
Wait, you were a home brewer in Japan?
Yes.
That's not easy.
That's illegal.
Yeah, that's why it's not easy.
There's a Meiji-era law that says you can't produce your own alcohol at home for
anything over 1%
tax reasons.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, before you left, was there like a craft beer scene that was like kind of rising, or is that of
beginning
late?
in 1996, they changed the laws for the brewing system for the entire brewing industry, where if you produce less than 60,000 hectoliters per year, you could finally get a brewing license. And so, beginning in '96, all of these restaurant chains and independent entrepreneurs got into it and started mimicking what was happening in the States. And it was pretty bad for the first few years. Around 1999, this American Ryan Baird opened up a brewery and kind of changed the game. It wasn't until about 2007 that massive influx of U.S. beer plus education on the Japanese side led to some really award-winning beers coming out of Japan. And in 2016, Japan had, I think, 8 medals at the World Beer Cup, which it's a record for them, and it shows the distance which they've traveled over the last few years to begin, having a huge impact on the world of brewing. Craft brewing, I should say. They've always had a big niche in the market since beer brewing was introduced by the Dutch and an American back in the 1880s.
Do you guys do cask ales at Mondo?
We do. We just actually the day we get back, the 3 of us, we're brewing a light bitter ale from 1890s era London brewing with this beer historian named Ron Pattinson.
Sick.
Yeah. So that'll be the first cask beer we've brewed in 3 years. We don't do them very often, but yeah, it's fun to go back and do them again.
It's kind of a mission to deal with, right?
Yeah. Yeah, cask beer in general has shrunk massively within the UK. And there are some companies that solely make their money on cask beer, and then other companies that started doing, 50-50 or so, and then went completely keg beer. And now we're going back and beginning to fuck with cask a little again.
I find that fascinating, by the way, because I feel like the UK is such a rich brewing industry. That's where the modern beer industry evolved. And from the outside looking in, I might be wrong, I almost feel sometimes like you guys have thrown your own kind of beers to the side and like, fuck this shit, we're done. I want to drink lager and taste IPA.
Yeah.
It's kind of the impression I get.
Yeah.
I've always found that kind of fascinating.
Yeah. Well, there still is Camera, the campaign for real ale.
But it's not doing so well, right?
Yeah. They've come out with some, strangely worded advertisements recently, where they had this big poll, and they had all of their members vote on whether or not they should begin to discuss keg beer within their meetings. And it looked like they were going to make this change and sort of share the space within their club with, formally carbonated beer. But it failed, and so they've sort of reverted back. And because of that, they lost another big section of their population that wanted to move things forward. But they're struggling on, and they're continuing to do the thing that they're known for, which is protect traditional English ale. Protect the way that it's made and then served.
Yeah, I think there's value in that.
There is.
It's just that I'm fascinated. Ron, I've had quite a few email exchanges with Ron. Actually, he's supposed to come to Miami at some point, so if he's let him know that I'm still waiting. But
yeah, we sat down in our tap room and made the recipe a couple of months ago, and he's coming back for brew day.
It's funny because I feel like we do cask ale here, and it's a very tiny select group of people who even know what it is. For us, it's a nice talking point. But I mean, I could do a historical beer that you and I would nerd out about, and that nobody else would give a shit about. But we brew it because we want it, right?
That's what we're brewing this beer for, is because we really want to taste what it would. Because these heritage strains of malts and hops are still around and making a bit of a resurgence. And so we're using those in addition to a relatively defunct yeast strain, and with Ron's knowledge, trying to recreate something that we really don't know what tasted like. We have a bit of an idea, but, we're getting there, and we'll see if it's, if it was a good product at all. maybe it tastes like shit. Seriously.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But it's fun to recreate it, and it's why we got into brewing to begin with. The whole, we can do whatever the fuck we want, like we were talking about outside.
Well, if you're selling beer and making money, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you're growing 150% a year like you guys are, then I think you can afford to have a refinery on there, right?
Yeah.
But.
And what do you think about that recent acquisition of Asahi of Fuller's?
We're good friends with Fuller's, so it was a bit of a shock.
They were like independent up until that point, right?
The oldest family-owned brewery in the UK. He's gonna get teary-eyed in a second. My lead brewer used to work at Fuller's. We have an ongoing relationship. We trade hops with Fuller's. We attend events with them. We did a tasting in our tap room. Last summer they did this really momentous event in London where they invited a bunch of London breweries to come on to that historical brewing ground, which is in Chiswick, West London, and had this festival. It was fantastic.
And was it like a shock or
it was a shock. Like commercially, I see it makes sense, but personally,
it's devastating.
Yeah, it is devastating. It's the oldest independent family-run brewery in the UK, but their own beer sales have been shrinking.
This is not common knowledge, but when I was there doing a collaboration, 90% of the brewing they were doing on the schedule, I got a peek at their brewing schedule, was contract brewing for smaller craft breweries.
Yeah, wow.
So they weren't brewing their own beers anymore.
WikiLeaks over there.
But is that not a symptom of the current beer industry? Everybody's always looking for the newest and best thing because it's... And they're like forgetting about...
Well, London Pride sales tanked. Their new lager sales were mediocre. It's just a tough game. It's a great beer. It's a great brewery. And they have a wonderful tradition. It's just... They were making so much more money, and we were talking about this outside, the idea of the Tide House in the UK. They were making so much more money on real estate and owning pubs that it just, as a purely business perspective, they don't need the brewery.
It's pretty much what Whitbread did too, right? At the end of the day. They basically sold off and became quite
Fuller's pub game is massive. They are spending so much money on making incredibly good bars that sell good beers as well as their traditional beers. And they look at other huge operators in the UK like Young's, who sold their brewing business, their pub game business, making millions, and thought, so much hassle, why don't we just sell that 250 million and invest it into the part of the business that's much closer? Commercially it makes sense, but as I said before, subjectively,
it's just sad.
It's sad, I grew up drinking London Pride, it's maybe not, you maybe classify it as the most interesting style of beer, but it's a hell of a good beer. And, people have been drinking that. And that kind of goes back to what you talking when you're talking about local beer versus hype beer. London Pride sure as hell ain't a hype beer. But it's a local beer, and you get people like my old man who will drink it day in, day out, and there's a whole generation of people who will drink it, and people, from London have pride in it. Yeah. Well, and now it's owned by another company, but they'll probably take that. Asahi's been gathering traditional English brands. They've got Meantime, which produce great lagers, play on traditional English branding. Then now we've got Fuller's. Now we've got Fuller's own Dark Star, which is arguably one of the best glass producers in the UK. So they've got a good portfolio of British beer that they're probably trying to push out to you guys up here. Somewhere in the Middle East or Far East or something like that. But it's sad to see another huge player. Every single person who seems to be very successful in the UK ends up going in that direction. From Camden to Meantime to Beavertown, and fair play to everyone in those companies. The beers arguably have got better since they've been bought out. But it's always a sad route to see. And as soon as someone becomes massively successful, someone writes a check big enough for them to give it away. But that's not me slamming them,
It's kind of the only way out of the
you're getting to that age and someone will wave a big fat cash, so you don't really need to work that hard anymore. I'll just say no.
See, but that's a thing that's a talk that I have with a lot of people. It's, you know, I kind of liken it to being a garage band. You know, like you play music because you love it. You start out doing it, and then you know you write it. Someone writes you a check. You sign to a label. You get famous. Then people say you sell out because you know someone
was successful.
Because you got successful, right?
You're not rare and exclusive anymore.
You're not rare and exclusive anymore. You're not making that rare local stuff that nobody will go to your top rooms to get.
You're not making play.
But like on
the it's gonna suck the more we make it. The more we make it, the worse it gets. Don't you know how that works? Yeah.
But is that what you see? Do you see like?
Well, it's an industry-wide trend that regional breweries and at least for us, and it sounds like it's a little bit the same way for you guys. To be honest, and I don't want to be like super. It actually makes me more sad with you guys because you guys have such a rich brewing history. Like we didn't really have that. You know, we didn't have these small local breweries that were like from the town. We had one or two massive corporations.
Well, it's not like beer was created here. It's like we're just hopping on the next thing that's hip.
Yeah,
you have history in London, like. You know, so yeah, that breaks my heart too.
Like we didn't really have anything to throw away.
No.
Like, we didn't have any like local. So it's kind of sad sometimes. I mean, and it's not just in the UK. I saw the same thing when I was in Germany a little bit. And it's like you see these, and part of it's great. Like what I do love about Germany, you go to places, you go to Düsseldorf, like you love all beer. Everybody's drinking fucking all beer. You know, it's like I would love that for that's the way I imagine the UK. Like everybody's in London, everybody's drinking Fullers, right? And it sounds like it's
to a
struggle.
It is kind of true.
Yeah.
But there is I love a good fast beer. But that sector of the market is shrinking because people who were originally... Cameron did such a good job of promoting beer in the UK that people were like, I love beer. And then they moved away from cask onto, somewhat American style ale, IPAs and browns, and now that is a huge sector. And now, if anything, Cameron did too good of a job of promoting beer in the UK. People have jumped in the cask beer and now moved away, and it's now growing. It's now sort of shrinking sector of it. But I'm probably I probably fit that model perfectly. I love drinking cask beer. Yeah. Really into craft beer, and now the majority of what I drink is probably based on American style ales and IPAs.
There's a few more years now we drink cask ale lager.
Yeah, we'll go around again.
Yeah.
So the last brewing worked, we randomly sent a load of cask up to Canada. I couldn't believe it. They had a big cask festival in Toronto in Canada. And it was like, cask festivals in the UK is synonymous with 40, 50 plus guys with beards and socks and sandals. But this cask festival we sent there to in Canada was like as hipster and cool as you could possibly imagine. And it's just
Blue Jacket. We went to a place in Washington D.C. It's called Blue Jacket, and they had cask ales, and it's a hipster place. They have brunch and everything.
They focus a lot on like pre-prohibition American styles too.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I'm glad that there's people in the US doing that, and in the UK.
Yeah, that was the first time that I've ever had a cask ale when I was there. Yeah.
You should take Tank more often.
You don't do that. You do cask ale?
Yes.
Every week,
Mo's like, I'm not your friend anymore.
Every week, I have a cask out tomorrow. You should come by and try it.
Alright.
We will.
Most people don't know what cask ale is anyway, so.
No, we do.
For everybody, you could explain a little bit about cask ale.
Yeah, I could. Why don't we let the Brits
why don't we let
them It's their thing.
He just volleyed it back to you.
Cask ale is somewhat uncarbonated, but you look probably warm beer as well. That you serve cask ale at set temperatures, so that's 9 to 11 degrees. So I don't know what that is in.
It's like 50 to 55 degrees.
Yeah.
You basically do like a vacuum pull through it, so you go through a beer engine rather than trying to push it through with CO2. It comes out with very low grams per litre CO2, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's really only popular in the UK. Not even over in Ireland. A huge amount of craft beer. It's a real kind of niche kind of market right there. and that's about it. But apparently it's becoming popular.
Well, the cask is a predecessor to the keg. So, before they were forced carving beer in stainless steel kegs, they were naturally conditioning them in wooden barrels originally, and then it became metal casks. And, I always try to explain to people that it's the best way to enjoy the beer as fresh as possible, because you're taking it right from the fermenter, you're doing an active fermentation in the cask, and what I like about cask is, and one of the tough things here in the U.S., a lot of people resort to kind of adulterating the cask to sell it. They're like, oh, well, we can't sell our English bitter or mild on cask, so let's throw a key lime pie in it and then we'll get it going, right? But I refuse to do that. For us, it's all about, because I feel like cask ale is the best way for you to showcase your attention and detail on how you serve beer. Because if you don't have your shit together, your cask is going to suck.
Sedimentship is exposed when it comes to fast beer. Like, it's not as simple as putting in a keg and hooking up. You need to tap it for a couple of days before. You need to vent it. You're going to make sure. So there's a lot of planning that goes into fast beer.
It's a profession,
and it is good for 48 hours. Somebody can stretch it for a bit more.
But you got to shim it right so the yeast doesn't.
There's pretty well established guidelines and procedures by which everyone adheres to in England. So he's talking about cellarmanship. So not only do you have this gentleman in the cellar who's rotating these in a timely manner, but your cask should not be serving more than 72 hours. It should be kicked by that point.
Max 72 hours.
Yeah.
That's max. Because you're using this beer engine and it's allowing oxygen in place of where there was beer inside this cask, right? And there's a breather on the top. So essentially, it's oxidizing the beer along the way, and the beer is changing from that first hand pull to the last one. So it's starting out very fresh and vibrant, and slowly it's taking on characters of lipooxygenasis and becoming a little bit more cardboard and stale. But if you get through it quickly, it's still palatable. After that, you get to a point where it's cheesy. And
you come to England, go up north, and drink a pint of Timothy Taylor.
Timothy Taylor's Landlord, yeah.
By far the best, for me personally, by far the best fast beer you can get.
And
you go up to Yorkshire where it's made and get a fresh cask of Timothy Taylor's. It's been put on that day, it's been conditioned right. It's a beautiful thing.
And there's two things that classify cask, right? That there's no outside forced carbonate CO2. There's just
according
like
to Camera,
yeah.
Cam is very anti-cask breather, from what I understand, right?
Well, they're anti CO2 feed.
Yeah, we call it a gas breather. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we don't use one. To be honest, I feel like oxidation is for me, what I've tasted is a key component of the cask, but obviously you don't want to let it go too far. I find that our cask tastes best at 36 to even on day 2. I actually find they open up and they change dramatically. Day 3 it just starts going down of course. Yeah. It's just like a wine. If you guys ever open a bottle of wine and you open it, day 2 it's usually pretty good if you store it right.
Day 3 is done.
It's not good anymore. So yeah, it takes a lot of attention to detail, and there's a lot of rich history there. So it'd be cool to turn more people onto it, but it's kind of tough. I think one of the challenges,
especially in a tropical location.
Yeah. Well, we kill the cats every day. They're 5 gallon, but we kill them every week. We push it hard, and
there's an art to tapping a cask.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you done it before?
Yeah, I've done it. We do it I do it on Oktoberfest too.
I fucked it up my first year. I was like, I was completely unprepared. I'm like, this is what you do, and I was like, I do what?
Yeah.
I'm sure. I rolled with it.
So actually, I have one of my favorite times of year is we don't use German style cask for it, but every Oktoberfest I pull out Perkins. Full disclosure, we do the same cask conditioning process, but we do it in kegs now. I think we were talking about this earlier. Long story short, it's the same thing, just different shape, and we don't have to tap it with a mallet. Every year I do the mayors come in for Oktoberfest, and the tradition in Germany is the mayor taps the first cask of Oktoberfest lager. So I get to teach these old Cuban guys how to tap cask ale, and I'm like, you and me are the only people in the city that know how to do this now. It's like, it's a lot of fun, and I scare them. Yeah. I tell them that if they fuck up, it's gonna explode on them, and they just lie. Usually it's really barely conditioned, and But yeah, it's a lot of fun to tap the cask. I think it's a really cool ritual to get it up on the I like the cask better out of a hand pump, but to get it up on the counter, and I think it attracts so much attention to what it is.
It's part of the experience too.
I think our next anniversary I'm going to tap an actual like wooden barrel, like a bourbon barrel and beer stout. I'm going to go